Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to bring on my next guest. I met her through this online community that has just been amazing with connecting me with really hardworking, entrepreneurial mind and just really passionate women entrepreneurs. So, Kristin, Lawton, thank you so much for the time today. Kristin here, she's the owner and chief brand mixologist of the District Brand Bar, and she helps other small businesses with their marketing and help them get the name out there. So, Kristin, thank you so much for the time today.
Oh,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun.
Perfect. Well, I would love to learn a little bit more on what your journey is and kind of what brought you here today, because I mean, you have a really cool title. I think that's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Well, I think one of the benefits of owning your own business is you get to create a title for yourself.
Right?
Yeah, so I own District Brand Bar, and I call it my pandemic baby. But like a lot of people, we sort of left the corporate 9 to 5 world and started our own business. And so I help a lot of solopreneurs and small businesses lay the foundation of their brand and marketing and set up the systems to make marketing their brand feel really effortless and get results. And I do it with a cocktail theme because I like the idea of sort of like mixology and learning how to mix different strategies into your business to make it work for you.
Yeah, that I think
So
that's such a fun way to think about it because
yeah,
it's always fun when you can bring things like that into your business along with you, because when you I think that a lot of people might ask you like, oh, like what is the secret to marketing, like
right.
what is like, how do I make sure I get a bunch of clients, and you're like, I don't know, it'll depend.
Exactly. I talk a lot about like creating your own recipe and sort of there's like a formula to follow, but like the ingredients you use is very different. And it's really based on like who you are, your business, and most importantly, your audience.
Yes, I find that knowing your audience, which people think is like the easiest thing, but sometimes it can be kind of hard.
Like, yes.
And like not only finding them, but finding what speaks to them. It's like, well, shouldn't this appeal to them? But then it doesn't, and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't know what to do now.
exactly.
So if you were to kind of look back, kind of on your journey, because you mentioned this is a little bit about your pandemic baby, which
Yeah.
the pandemic kind of forced people to do this like really big pivot, I see. Um, is there anything that you'd say to like your younger self kind of looking back, or maybe just the
Yeah.
younger generation moving forward?
I mean, I just so part of my journey is I was with this nonprofit running communications for them for 15 years. And for so long I loved it. And I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. And then leadership transitions and things changed. The workplace got a little toxic. And I did start looking and working with a career coach to figure out what I wanted to do, but I never saw entrepreneurship as a path for me. My family have all been entrepreneurs, and the idea of sort of not having that paycheck was a little scary for me. And so I never saw it. I always just was like, wanted to kind of work for the man and like, know, where my money was coming from. But that all changed during the pandemic when I was let go from a job that I now hated. So it kind of was this, blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I had stuck around so long and I was just kind of like afraid of change
Mm-hmm.
and not willing to really like get out of my comfort zone and do something different. And I think with the pandemic, I couldn't just go out and find another job because no one was hiring because it was right at the start. So all of the interviews and leads that I had lined up before the pandemic when I was looking to leave, they all fell through because everyone sort of like put everything on hold. But I had gone through this career coaching where I had been talking to a lot of people. They just kept encouraging me to go out on my own because I did want to shift industries. I wanted to be helping small businesses. And so it did take the pandemic to sort of push me out of that comfort zone. And sort of looking back when I was thinking about this interview and like what I would say to like my younger self, I do think it is about like not being afraid of change and not like being willing to get out of my comfort zone, whether that's like doing solo traveling or like moving to a different country when I was younger and I could, and I didn't feel like I had to be, stable and
Yeah.
grounded in all of those things. Staying at an organization just because it felt safe and easier than sort of what else was out there. And so now I'm in this like entrepreneur world where like you never know what's going to happen, and it's like scary, but it's also like so much more exciting than like all of my previous careers. So yeah, I think that would be like my biggest advice is just like, and even in small things, right? Like I always felt like I needed to like dress this way or do this, but like just get out, try different styles, like try different, whatever. Just nothing like drastic is gonna happen if you
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so powerful because there's been so much change that's been happening in the past. Now it's almost 3 years because
Yeah.
we're in 2023, which is really scary.
Right.
But there's been so much change that I feel like some people, like even myself, even some of my friends, like we're the younger generation. We're supposed to like adapt to the social media changes
Yeah.
faster. But even then, I find it sometimes hard that there's just so much happening at any
Right.
given time. And it's
Yes.
really allowing yourself to be open to that change and be like, okay, am I able to survey this and make sure that it's good for me before I do it? And am I willing to adapt to those things when it's scary, but I know I have to do it?
Exactly. And sometimes maybe for your generation, I don't know, like staying in one place could be the scary thing, right? Because you feel
Right.
like you already have, like, a lot of people that worked under me or that I mentored in my old career, like that were younger than me, they felt like every 2 years they have to switch jobs and like build up this resume. So maybe like the reverse also, it could be like, be steady and just sort of like take time. But I just think, yeah, do the scary thing as long as you're in a safe space,
Yes,
it's
don't go jump off a cliff. That's
do
probably
not do
not what
that.
we're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, because I was just talking to my dad like yesterday, and I was like, I don't understand like the plan, like the life plan I'm necessarily on, because there are just always going to be things outside of your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what I can always control is that every day I have to be at least a little bit uncomfortable by either talking to someone or
Yeah.
doing something, because I don't feel like I'm growing unless I'm
Mm.
forcing myself. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
easy to not do that. But I know that's like, okay, those things you just really have to keep going under your belts.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I always try and do is just like find joy in everything that I do. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like something that I always live by. I don't believe in like having some legacy or, having to have this like fancy thing written on your gravestone when you die, right? Like your life's purpose. I
Right.
just think as long as like you feel, you're going through your life happy and sort of always constantly evolving in whatever way that like means for you is good enough too.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. It takes away that pressure off your
Yeah,
shoulder. Like, I have to do something. I have to, and it's not saying you can't make a difference. That's
totally.
not it. But
No,
like, it's like I'm the only one who can make a
right.
difference. I feel like
Yeah.
taking that mindset off is such a reliever.
Yeah. And I think it's just like just focus on living a fulfilling life and whatever that means to you is like all you really need to do.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for the time today. This has been such a blast, and I
Oh,
think
good.
the conversations that we just had were really helpful. I think honestly, a lot of it was kind of speaking to me. So,
Well, I'm so
thank
happy to hear
yeah,
that. Yeah.
of
Well, thanks
course.
so much for your time. This was
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.